All right, today I'm going to be working on cleans. Now, bear with me, it has been a while, so I might be a little rusty, but you're going to see kind of how I warm up and how I transition and kind of develop and gradually get into my actual challenging lifts. Now, remember, it is very intuitive. So listen to how your body feels, what's tight, what do you need to work on mobility-wise, what muscles do you need to activate and wake up. And then, of course, as you're gradually getting through the movements and increasing the weights, you got to listen to your body. Some days you might be able to do a 1 rep max and crush it. And some days you might need to stick with some lighter weights and just practice those reps. So here we go. Getting things started here, just moving the joints around, ankles, wrists, starting with smaller movements and then gradually increasing, getting some shoulder movements. Now remember, just by moving the joint, you're actually going to produce the lubrication in the joint. So it's not just for the muscles, it's also for the joints. Again, gradually getting bigger movements, get some hip openers, and throughout this time, think about how everything feels. If it's a little extra tight, if there's any kind of pain, any pinching, any different things like that, so you know what to address as you're warming up. So again, now I'm getting into some, more movements, but here we're also going to start activating some muscles. So not only am I working mobility through the hips, adductors, hamstrings, I'm also going to be waking up some of those muscles I'm using, like your glutes, hamstrings, quads, and again, just kind of feel it out. What's extra tight? Take yourself through different movements and just listen to your body and do what it needs to do, spending extra time on areas that you need it. Here we're getting a little bit of some hamstring, but also releasing some of the back that I felt a little bit of tension in. Now my hips felt a little extra tight, so some hip openers here to kind of loosen them up a little bit as well. Getting some more mobility, not only through the hips, but also through the T-spine as well. Really opening things up here. And again, just feel it out. Big wide steps, planting that front leg, reaching up to the sky. Getting some arm circles. Notice how I have that band to create just a little bit of tension. So a little resistance to help enhance that stretch, but I'm dynamically moving to get some blood flow and just gradually loosening it up. And I can increase that resistance, that tension as I start to loosen up here. Now we're getting into some face pulls. So activating those external rotators, some of those back and shoulder muscles. Really making sure we get that big rotation, elbows up, thumbs down, and pulling with those back muscles. Holding ourselves nice and stable here. This is great to get those shoulders kind of primed and ready to go. Now I'm getting some more mobility. Again, I was listening to my body. I felt a little tight in the lats, so this one is going to help release those lat muscles. This is going to help with range of motion with overhead movements and that kind of front squat position when we're in that rack position with our cleans. So really getting that tension, trying to relax the arm as best as you can, sitting back with the hips to use your body weight. And we're going to gently twist through that motion, as big of a range of motion as you can, and maintaining that tension with the band. Don't be afraid to walk it back with the feet a little extra if you need more tension. And again, we're going to do both sides on this one. Really make sure you're breathing through. You might feel like you're not getting a lot of range of motion at the beginning, but it should start to open up, and just slow, steady movements, maintaining that tension. Switching the stretch band mobility thing here. We're going to be doing a nice little pull. So we're kind of locked around the wrist here. This is great for the arm and the shoulder. Now you might feel this in some different areas. Again, keep that tension on the band, really slowly turning and rotating that arm as big of a range of motion as you can. So again, you're going to feel this in the shoulders, bicep, forearm. Where you're more tight, you're going to feel it a bit more. So it might feel a little different for you, and that's okay. But nice, gentle movements. Again, trying to increase that range of motion as best as you can. Breathing through, trying to relax with these movements. Switching sides here. So again, we're locking it into the wrist, so wrapping around. Once we create that pull, that tension, it will kind of lock the band around the wrist, and big rotations, feeling that stretch through that movement. Next, I'm getting into some wrist mobility because with the cleans, that rack position that we're going to be landing in really needs great mobility in those wrists, and my forearms are definitely tight. So this is a great wrist mobility with that band to give a little extra resistance, and this will help kind of increase that mobility and get a deeper stretch in that wrist. Now getting into some ankle mobility. Again, we're getting into some deep squats. So you want to make sure you're feeling nice and limber, loose, and you're able to get into the positions safely, that you're not going to pull anything or hurt any muscles. So again, I'm just kind of feeling it out. My calves didn't feel too tight, but just taking it into that bend, protecting the knee because there's not as much pressure on the knee when you do it on an elevated surface like this. And you'll notice I'm kind of hitting different angles. So I'm getting a really good stretch through the soleus and the gastroc, so both of the calf muscles. Next, we're taking it into the cat-cow. So again, loosening, getting rid of any tension through that spine, through the core. And you want to just move with the breath on this one. So as we inhale, we're going to come up, arcing the back, bringing that chin up. Exhale as we're caving through, and really feel that squeeze and that spread of the scapula, the shoulder blades. And you might even start to notice you get a bigger range of motion with this. Taking it into some T-spine twists. This is again for that T-spine mobility, that thoracic spine. Again, personal to me, I'm very tight here and I need to work on that mobility, so I do some extra stuff on this. But opening up, bringing that elbow nice and high, and then all the way through as far as you can. Gentle movements, gradually increasing that range of motion. Again, we're in that tabletop position, fingers just behind the neck there as we reach through and open up. Now for our classic bird dogs, you'll see these done maybe some different ways, but ultimately you want that full body tension. So core is engaged. Notice my hips do not twist, they're staying level, and that core, that torso is not moving. But think big pull, focusing on squeezing that shoulder blade back. Opposite leg, we're kicking out to engage that glute, and just that small lift as we bring that arm overhead. Then I'm going to take it into some dead bugs. Again, this is great for that core activation, waking up all those muscles. So full body tension, arms up, extend, opposite arm, opposite leg. Big focus here is that full body tension. Pushing that back into the floor so you engage that core, trying to maintain no gap in between the floor and that lower back. And you don't want to extend the leg all the way down to the ground. You just want to straighten enough that you're squeezing that quad and squeezing that glute without changing that hip alignment. And again, bringing those arms as far above the head as you can. If your thumb can touch the floor, cool. If not, that's okay. Now those glute bridges, again, full body tension. You're gonna see me engage, squeeze the glute, and then lift those hips up as we drive those knees out to get a little more glute activation. Notice my feet are staying planted. Making those fists with my hands allows me to get a little more full body tension, which will give me better activation in all of those muscles. Now, anytime I have a squat movement, I like to warm up with a nice full body tension, slow control goblet squat. So, grounding through the feet, tension through the outer legs, the glutes, the core, setting those shoulders, squeezing those elbows in, taking that pause at the bottom to really engage those glutes. Slow, slow, slow. Take that pause. Getting lots of full body tension here, and then keeping that tension on the way up as well. So you don't need to do a lot of reps of these because you're really focusing that squeeze, that activation through the entire body. So it's not just your glutes and legs you feel. Then I'm going to take it into some light movements with the bar, just practicing that clean movement a few different ways, from the hang position, from the power position. Just kind of getting that speed, that quick little feel. Focusing on just the movements here. Again, I'm just feeling it out, seeing the bar path. I really want to focus on the speed here because that's something that I need to work on, is getting under the bar a little faster, that quick snap with the wrist and driving those elbows through. So that's kind of what I'm feeling out. Listening to my body. How do things feel? Are they tight? Do I need to do some extra warm-up, extra mobility? I feel good, so I'm going to add a little bit of weight at a time. You want to gradually progress the weight. And again, taking that little pause at the bottom. Sitting into that squat, making sure I feel good with that weight, with that movement. And then I'm going to take it all the way up. Sometimes as I'm warming up, I like to keep the bar racked and getting into a front squat so I can feel the weight and get my body a little bit used to that and make sure I feel good in that front squat position as well. So again, we gradually increase the weight. I'm just doing a few reps at a time, feeling it out. Little Captain Morgan between my sets. Getting closer to that 1 rep max. Can I do it? Woo! All right, time for the workout. after the intense workout circuit, I'm going to finish with a little bit of isolation work, high volume, few sets of each, just to work on, again, growing that muscle in the areas I want some more muscle. So I got triceps, glutes, and of course some shoulders. Now it's time to cool it down, get a good stretch. Always take your time when you're stretching, focusing on breath work, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and again, focusing on all the different areas that you worked and that you feel are a little tighter. But again, just go back to all the movements you did in the workout and think about stretching all the muscles. Take your time. Thanks for joining me on this workout, and until next time, subscribe for more.